Hi, fourth grade. So we are going to start a project today focused on pattern. You should have been able to see a PowerPoint that I attached to one of the assignments focusing all about pattern. So what you're going to need for this project is a blank piece of white paper. I'm hoping everyone has blank piece of paper at home. Maybe it's printer paper. I happen to have a little bit of like a thicker drawing paper, so that's what I'm using. And then you need a pencil for the first couple steps. So just like in class, we are going to write your name and class code. Okay, so that should be on the back of your paper. Once you have that on, we're going to flip our paper over and you are going to make a little tiny dot somewhere kind of in the middle of your paper. Could be more towards the top, more towards the bottom, but it doesn't really need to be super specific, but the middle is a good area. Next, I did not have a ruler at home, so I improvised and I took a color pencil and I used that to make some straight lines on my paper. If you have a ruler, awesome. If not, you can use my color pencil method. Grab maybe a book and use the side of a book. But what we're going to use this ruler for is to create some kind of intersecting crisscross lines. So we want to create 12 sections. They don't need to necessarily be equal in size, but so you should be making 6 lines that go all the way across your paper. Again, in my video, you can see that I kind of need to stop halfway through to adjust my color pencil, but I'm making sure that that line goes all the way, crossing that middle point, and then either down or to the sides of my paper. And so when you're doing this, you might need to adjust some of your lines and redraw them. That's totally fine. I always suggest that you guys, with your pencil, draw nice and lightly. That way, if you do need to erase, it will be a little bit easier than if you had drawn a thicker line, okay? Once you have your 6 lines, you should be able to count each little kind of like pie slice, triangle slice, and you should have 12 sections. So I'm just going to make sure I'm going to count mine, that I have all 12 sections. We need to make sure that we have 12 because we want to have an even number, okay? So again, 12 is kind of what we're aiming towards. If you happen to do 14 or maybe 10, that could work, but 12 is kind of a good even number for this project. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to start in one specific pie slice. I like to always start towards the top of my paper, and we want to just make kind of arch shape lines within our pie slice. So I was able to fit kind of 3 spaced out, and then I'm going to skip that pie slice right next to it, and I'm going to do the same thing 2 over. Okay, so I'm drawing those 3 kind of arching shapes that kind of go up like a rainbow. If you happen to have space for more than 3, awesome. It might be cut off by your paper, but you can kind of keep going and adjust it. And so again, keep drawing those arching shapes every other section. And you can see that I'm rotating my paper around because I think it's easiest to have it at the top of your paper. And so I keep going, filling it in as best as I can, skipping, rotating. And then once I have every other section filled with those arches, your next step is going to be to use some sort of black material. So I happen to have a black Sharpie. If you have a regular black marker at home, that would work awesome. If you don't have a Sharpie or a black marker, a black crayon could work, a black color pencil could work, anything that would maybe make like a bold line, okay? Even your pencil, you would just have to put a little bit more pressure to make a darker line. But so you're going to be taking whatever material you have. So again, you can see I'm taking my Sharpie, and I'm going to start tracing over all of the pencil lines that I just drew. So I'm just focusing on those crisscrossing intersecting lines for my first step of tracing. And again, take your time. Some people do like to line up their ruler again when they are tracing. You can if you want to. You don't necessarily need to. I did not line mine back up, but that just means that I might need to go back in and erase any pencil lines that are showing. Okay. And so then I have my intersecting lines done, and now I'm going to go in and I am going to trace those arching lines, those curved lines that almost look like a rainbow. And again, take your time. Um, this is a project that's kind of at your own pace, so you don't necessarily need to rush. Okay, so just take your time tracing them. And so once you do have everything traced, it's always important to take your eraser, go in and erase any pencil lines that are showing through, because that's kind of like a neatness factor. Okay. Next thing that we're going to work on for this steps of the project is adding some color. Now, if you have color pencils at home, awesome. That's what I'm using. If you don't, then you can take crayons, maybe markers, but we want to pick a material that's going to kind of blend nicely together. Paint, like watercolor paint would work, but it might be a little bit hard to control, and we're going to be doing a lot of intricate different colors. So I personally think the best option is normal colored pencils. Okay. And then I'm holding up a color wheel in the video to show you that I want you to start with picking either two colors from the warm color side or the cool color side. So with our tertiary color wheel, red violet is a color that can kind of go on both warm and cool sides because it has those red tones in it. And then same with yellow green, that can kind of go to the cool color side or the warm color side, depending. So if you're thinking about including those are some options. I'm starting out with cool colors. So I pick a dark shade of blue and a little bit of a lighter shade of blue. And I, on a separate piece of paper, I was just testing out kind of how they would blend together. We definitely want one color that's dark and one color that is light. Okay. So again, you can see I'm just kind of testing things out, making sure that I like the colors that I'm picking. And so we're going to start to take that dark shade first, and we need to be coloring in every other of our sections, and you'll start to see as I do that. But so I'm starting with my darkest shade of blue, and I'm just kind of coloring in the sides of my sections. And I'm pressing really, really hard on the very outer edges, and then I'm slowly putting less pressure as it's going into the middle. That's really important because in our sections, we want to leave a little area that is strictly white. So I take a dark and then I take my lighter shade of blue and I just kind of slowly start filling that into the middle. If you happen to have a white color pencil at home, you could take that and just go over that white section to kind of make it just a little bit more highlighted and make it stand out a little bit more. So I was just taking my time to get my white color pencil, shading it in. If you feel like it's not really dark enough on the sides, go ahead and add a little bit more pressure on the very sides to give it a really dark shade of blue. Once you have the whole section kind of done looking like mine, you can then skip a space and then go on to your next one. So same thing, taking a your dark shade. So could be like you did a dark green, dark red, dark purple, whatever it was. Again, you can see I'm using a dark blue, pressing really hard on the outer edges. And then I take that lighter blue in towards the middle and making sure that I'm kind of blending it in, but still leaving that white area. And as you work your way towards that outer top area, of your little pie slices, that white area should be bigger because there's more space. So just really take your time, play around with kind of how you're kind of shading these colors and having them mix a little bit. Once you have those two done, or depending on how many sections you have in each pie slice, you might need to do a little bit more, but I moved on to my other pie slices 2 over, and I'm just doing the same thing. I'm doing those dark shades, pressing really hard, slowly letting up on the pressure of my color pencil as I work my way in towards the middle, switching to my light blue, making sure that I leave a white area in the middle. Okay, and then again, skipping a space there, dark shade, light shade, white space in the middle. And so you're just repeating this all the way around your project. You're only filling in the areas that you had drawn those black lines in, and really take your time. All right, this is something that if it's taking you a really long time to color, put it down for the day, and pick it up tomorrow and work on it then. You should only really be working on these art assignments for 10 to 15 minutes a day. If you want to do extra, awesome, that's on you. But for like what I'm expecting of you, I'm only expecting that you're working on things 10 to 15 minutes at a time. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with all the other work that you're going to have to be doing from your regular teachers. Okay? So yep, take your time, enjoy it, and then I will have another posted video in the following week for your next steps, okay? So I hope you guys have fun, and I will chat with you in the next video.